everybody, it's me Unikitty. Today I'm going to be wrecking my journal that I got for Christmas last year that's just been sitting in my cupboard gathering dust. What I was planning on doing today was completing the prompts on the inside of the cover from the front and the back and sort of doing all the pre-wrecking activities. Warning. For those of you who are scared of imperfections, this book and video comes with a warning. You may have to adjust your sound throughout the video. Warning.
During the process of this book, you will get dirty, you may find yourself covered in paint or any other number of foreign substances, you will get wet, you may be asked to do things you question, you may grieve for the perfect state that you found this book in, you may begin to see creative destruction everywhere, you may begin to live more recklessly. Terms and conditions may apply.
The first thing I did when opening my Wreck This journal was writing my name in 6 different styles, I think it was, and I'll show you a photo of that here. Then when I flipped over the name writing section, there was a bunch of prompts on the page, one of them being to dip this corner in liquid. What I did to complete this was cut off the corner of the page because the book wouldn't fit in my cup, swirl it around in the liquid, then tape it back to the book. And because this paper doesn't absorb liquid very well, I tried to get a texter and see if it could make a watercolory effect or make some cool texture with the interaction of the ink and the water, but it didn't do that, so I ended up just drawing a wavy pattern on the corner. After that, I rubbed my finger with a graphite pencil to try and rub here with a dirty finger, but I didn't like how that looked, and because this Wreck This journal is in color, it's trying to incorporate colors. So I ended up getting a Sharpie and smudging my finger all over that square with that. Obviously this footage is out of order because everything else isn't filled out yet, but the next thing I did was get a cup of water and try to place my mug here. So I got a cup of water and I made sure when I was filling it up to get water on the bottom of the glass. So hypothetically the page would absorb the water, but this paper, as I mentioned before, isn't very good at absorbing liquid. So my plan was to draw cups and mugs of coffee and tea inside the circle, but then as I was doing that I thought, well, a mug can also mean your face as well as a liquid holding device, so that's what I did. I drew a face. The next thing I did was draw the tiniest drawing in the world, but you can't see that because my big hand's in the way, so I'll show you a picture of that here. After doing all those things, I started cutting out the eye holes so I could be a spy and my tiny piece of wreck to carry with me wherever I go. Now that I've finished completing the prompts from the front cover of the book, I'm now going to transform the front cover into something different and unique to more personalize my Wreck This journal. We'll see how it goes. What I ended up doing was taking a piece of colored paper from the back of the book and cutting it to fit the holes of the eyes and then taping it to the back there. Once it was all taped down, I got a marker and I started drawing a face on my Wreck This journal. I wanted him to look worried because I figured if I was a Wreck This journal, I'd be a bit worried because I was about to be poked and prodded and sewn and torn and shredded to a million pieces. So I drew him looking a bit worried, and I made his eyes cross-eyed because I wanted him to be looking at the Wreck This journal text in the middle of his face, but his face is covering it so you can't really see it that well. After doing the basic line work, I did some sketchy outlines and bags under his eyes, which made them stand out more so you could see all their eyes, not just random colored bits on the page. Then I got a white jelly roll pen and I added some highlights in his eyes and sweat droplet around his face and like defined his eyebrow wrinkles and made his teeth wider and all that sort of stuff. And eventually I decided instead of him being a weird creature thing, I turned him into a puppy. Then I got some purple paper from the back of the book because purple and yellow are complementary colors, and I made a collar out of the little piece of wreck that I cut out earlier. So I ripped the bit of purple page out from the back of the book and I cut it into a square and then into a circle. I stuck it on the page and then drew around it the collar shape, or I drew the collar shape first and then stuck it on the page, but you know what I mean. And then I stuck the piece of wreck on there and coloured it purple, but it's the wrong kind of purple, but I coloured it purple to match him with the rest of it. Then I decided to give him ears, so I cut that bit of red from the front page, cut it into triangles, coloured in black inside bits, and then sticky taped it to the page. And it took a lot of fiddling to get it in the right spot. It's not even and it's not perfect, but that's the point. Now that I've finished the cover and made him a doggy, I'm going to start defacing the back cover of the book. The first thing I did was cut out the postcard which instructs me to mail to someone. I don't have anyone to mail it to, so I ended up giving it to my dad because he recently broke his arm, so I'm wishing him a get well soon message. On the card I wanted to draw a picture of me and Rec as a little puppy with a book body and pencil legs, throwing around letters and stamps and just having a good old time. Now that it's done, I'm gonna give it to my dad, and he really liked it, and I'm happy that I made it. Now I'm cutting out I dragged my journal merit badge. I did this by poking holes in it once again as a starting point for my scissors to cut around it. After it was out of my book, I smoothed out the edges a bit and then stuck it up on my wall to have it as a memory. Then Rec told me to draw a face. Don't ask why, I just drew a face. So I drew Unikitty, and I drew her asking why we had to draw a face, because I'm super creative and clever like that. Just some generic drawing stuff, doing the pencil, line art, and then colouring with texture and pencils. Now that the face is finished, here it is, all close up and wonderful like. The next thing I did was cut out some blank pieces of paper to fill up the holes that I had now created in my book, so it doesn't have a bunch of empty flappy spaces, because that would annoy me. And last but not least, I gave Rec a tail. So I got some red paper from the back of the book, I double-sided taped it to the back, and then got my black pen and my jelly roll to add some detail and fur textures.
I think what's good about the Reckless journal is that because I'm coming in with the expectation that it's not going to look pretty and perfect and stay intact, I feel more free to explore and experiment with my art making and create things I wouldn't normally create. Like with the face on the cover of the book, for example, I wouldn't normally draw a weird creature with pointy teeth and yellow eyes and with that line making style, but because it's taking away those perfectionist tendencies, it feels more open to interpretation, which is nice. That'll be all for today's video. I had a lot of fun creating it. If you'd like to see more Reckless Journal videos in the future, please let me know and I'll be sure to make one. Until then, I'll see you all later. Bye!